Minding your own business.
I mean, that's very typical, isn't it? They say,
mind your own business.
don't interfere in other people's lives.
Yeah, watch boundaries.
Yeah, nobody wants a busybody, do they?
No.
Like somebody who's always, meddling. But today we're actually going to discuss, the potential benefits and negative aspects of meddling, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you about some personal stories of where we've been the meddlers.
We've been the meddlers, indeed.
And maybe when we've been on the receiving side of meddling too, which has not been as pleasant when it's not in the best interest of them.
Yes, I think so, because there's meddling and there's meddling. But generally. Anyway,
so that's what we're talking about in this week's episode of Get Real with the English Sisters. Thank you for leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We very much appreciate it. It helps us grow.
Meddling. Who of you has watched The Meddler?
I know, the film. I did enjoy that film.
Susan Sarandon, yeah.
I might watch it again now because I watched it a while back.
So did I. I remember that, that she had recently lost her husband, and then there's a whole series, of events that happens, and she moves to be close to her daughter.
Yeah.
And then her daughter doesn't want her to be close to her, and, the whole trauma of the film is quite interesting though in the end, isn't it?
And I also
she does help a lot of people.
Yes, she does. I'm always thinking how different cultures as well, they don't think of it as meddling.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
And I also brought to mind that program Ted Lasso, which he comes from America. Do you remember the one about, I don't know if you actually watched it.
I did. I watched all of it because you told me to watch it. Yeah.
And he's much of a meddler.
Is he? I can't remember it in that.
He's getting into everybody's life.
Really? He asks questions. I remember he brings the
cakes.
He does, yeah. Because it's a different kind of culture though, isn't it? Once again, he's an American football coach and he comes to coach a British, an English football team. And of course they have very different boundaries and expectations and and it is quite, the British are very reserved sometimes. Not all of them, depending.
Always, yeah. It's very cosmopolitan.
It is actually, depends where you're from. Yeah, because if you go further up north in England, they're like super friendly and everything's hello love. It's really sweet. You can get in a taxi and somebody will just randomly call you love, which is so endearing. And even in London as well, that can happen.
Yeah. But I mean, I remembered when we were on the side of like negative meddling. Do you remember when Mum was she went to tell a neighbour or something that she wasn't seeing enough of us, but she was seeing us every day.
God, yeah, that was horrible. We got told off.
And then when we saw this neighbour, she came out shouting and screaming, "What are you doing to your mum? You're not looking after her.
You wicked children." We really did get a telling off there. I mean, we were fully grown adults, by the way, and we had all our own families, etc. And we were taking care of our mum because we would go and see her frequently, every day. You would see her every day. Yeah, I was flying around working, so I saw her a little bit less, but it's not like we were definitely not ignoring her. And we did get told off by this.
I'll never forget that.
No.
It wasn't nice because you think people are sort of meddling and gossiping about us, saying these bad things about us, when it's not true.
Yes, that wasn't nice at all. No. No, that was horrible because we were just attacked. Literally, we were just entering our parents' home and then we were just literally attacked by this neighbour. This was in Italy where the meddling is very common. And sometimes it's very useful as well.
But do you remember when you moved in with your boyfriend at the time, your husband, that his mum would come and meddle every day?
Oh my God, I can't stand
but go and bring him underwear and things.
It was so weird, yeah. But that was just a different culture though. I mean, she thought he was like still her baby. He was 28. And I saw him as this enormous, not enormous. I saw him as, obviously he was my boyfriend. He was a fully grown adult. I was thinking, why is your mum coming every day to bring us food? And what is this? She has to buy you underwear like once a month. She would buy him this weird, like these, what is it, like those white t-shirts, these vests. Yeah, vests, because she said it was getting cold and it was so odd. And I thought, what are you doing? I felt she was a meddler.
Yeah,
I felt she was very much a meddler. Obviously, I grew to love her tremendously over the years, but at the beginning, I really wasn't used to this kind of meddling, even though our mum was Spanish, so you would think I would be. But
she wouldn't be.
She was more reserved.
Well, maybe because she didn't have boys. We don't know, but she wouldn't. I think she was more independent. She didn't know, but she didn't know. I don't think it was because she didn't do that for Dad either.
No, then not only would she bring him the underwear, she would obviously want to enter the house. Then she would like inspect his wardrobe, check the whole house out. She would have her cleaner come to our apartment, because I was living with him, to our apartment and clean it, and then sort of like refer back. I didn't like that cleaning lady. This lady, because she wasn't very kind to me.
She probably thought you weren't doing your job properly. You were just this little girl because you were young at the time.
I was just like 18. 19. She had no respect for me, exactly as a woman. No. In those days, she didn't think, oh. And she probably thought, this useless child in this house. Yeah, she does nothing. I don't know. I have no idea, but yeah, it was weird. Yeah, the possessiveness of it all. Of course, is this Italian mum as with their sons. Yeah. She was very traditional. If anyone out of you has
like
that.
when your boyfriend at the time had to have his knee operation as well. Do you remember when you went together?
Oh yeah, we all went off to together.
You thought this is so much. His mum's coming. Because he's so old.
Yeah, but now looking back that I'm 57, if I think I have...
You think I'm one of them.
I think I've got two adult sons now. One is 25 and one is 27. I'm not a meddler because 25-year-old lives on his own and I barely ever go and see him or bring him anything. Yeah. And the 27-year-old is still living here for the moment. If he had to have, when he had his, operation, of course I was there. So I can now, as a parent,
it more.
Yes, I can definitely understand it more. But yeah, obviously when you're younger, yeah.
But did your boyfriend at the time, can you remember if he actually wanted his mum and dad to be there?
Well, look, I think his dad drove us anyway because we had to go all the way to France. So if I think about it,
it wasn't really.
It was like useful. And then his mum, I guess she just wanted to come because her baby boy was being, operated on. So yeah, I don't know. It was funny. For me, it was odd because I probably thought
you were young.
Yeah, I just thought, why are they both coming? I could do it, but maybe I couldn't handle it. I don't know.
Yeah, you probably would have been okay. But
I think so. But
I think I remember you at the time, you just wanted to go alone with him to have like a little romantic holiday out of it.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I honestly can't remember it, but yeah.
Yeah, but when does meddling become too much? I mean, obviously, I think it can go the other way now when people don't meddle enough. And like with social media, you think you've got like, you've already done your bit just by saying, oh, condolences, or I'm sorry, that's really nice, congratulations.
You send a love
But you don't actually go further into that person's world to see if they really do need any help or...
Yeah, actually getting your hands dirty, as to say, because
physical.
That is like a sterile environment, isn't it? This social media. We feel as if we're kind of like helping, but... We're not really. It's different to actually calling the person.
Yeah.
Obviously on social media, a lot of the times we don't actually know these people. We just know them like through connections. But when you actually do know somebody...
No, but I think on social media,
and you
do
need
know people
them
as well, because sometimes your close family can be on social media or your really close friends.
Yeah,
I mean, not everyone has like we do a business where we use
No,
it for business.
obviously,
A lot
yeah.
of the times it's used for personal use.
Yes.
But you do still think you've got like, oh, I've done my bit because I've written something on their thing, but you haven't gone that further step. And sometimes if you do feel that you're quite a reserved person, like we are in general, you feel as if you do pick up the phone, you're like, you feel vulnerable. You feel vulnerable because you think, am I overstepping here? Maybe, this is not
They just
requited.
want to be alone at
they
this
just
moment
want to be
in
alone.
time. Yeah. It's like when you're grieving, how much do you really want somebody to offer their support?
Yeah.
And maybe not on the first or second day, but I think afterwards it's a comfort to hear somebody else, call you and offer you support. I think it is.
It is. Well, even if you don't like it and you put the phone down, you go, oof,
but
I'm
afterwards,
sick of it. But afterwards it goes into your mind that people care about you and they're asking about you.
Yes, exactly. That's it. They're asking, how are you? How are you coping? People are they care about you because
they're thinking of you. Because for them to take that step of phoning you or whatever, coming around to see you, is, they're taking time out of their lives.
Yes, the precious time that they have as well.
They've got nothing to do. They're just
bored.
Meddlers.
She's a busy bossy. He's a gossip. Yeah, but
how much really is gossip and how much?
Look,
really
I've
care?
got the example of this next door neighbour at the end of my road. He's never going to listen to this podcast anyway. And he, when we first moved into this house, he was like the guy that was always walking up and down the road, honestly. He always seems to be a pensioner. I've been living here for 30 years, but I already used to think he was like an old man, a pensioner. Because he would,
retired.
I don't know, he would walk up and down the road, as if he had nothing to do. And my husband used to say, oh God, there he is, that sort of like the busybody, the meddler. Anything we would build, he would say, what are you doing? Oh, I've seen there are lorries coming. What are they bringing? Sand. Every single time. But then once I remember thinking, when I was actually home alone and I had the two children, I had them very close. They were both very little and my car suddenly broke down. And I thought, who's going to help me now? My husband was really far away and I honestly thought, the meddler. So I went walking down the road with one little 1-year-old and a little 2-year-old. And I went and I knocked on his door and I said, oh, hi. I'm the lady. He goes, of course I know who you are. And there I was introducing myself and he thought, of course I know. I know everyone who lives on this road. This is a cul-de-sac. All the houses on this road used to belong to my family. You are the only people that are not my family that have entered this house. I said, oh, okay, yeah, okay. He goes, oh, you've got your little children with you. I go, yeah. And I go, actually, my car won't start. And honestly, in 5 minutes, he said, okay, go back home, take the children back home. I'll be there. And he came along with those wires to connect the battery and he started it. And I thought, oh, my hero. In that day, he became then afterwards I knew what his name was. And I thought, there you go. Somebody who's a classic meddler.
Yeah.
Honestly, always meddling in what we thought he was. But then in the end, he really had a reason for doing it because he was possessive. He
cared about his street.
His street road. Yeah, he still really cares about it. If sometimes we don't clean the weeds that grow on the side of our house, he'll come along and he'll de-weed it for us.
He'll do it.
Well, he comes because he cares about the road.
Yeah,
it's a bit like The Man Called Otto now. I'm thinking this is another film that has just come up.
Haven't seen that one.
With Tom Hanks, haven't you seen it? Yeah. And he really cares about his road where he lives with all his houses because he's been there for years and years. That's actually quite a sad film because he's always trying to commit suicide because he feels like he no longer has a reason to live, but in the end he discovers that so many people actually need him and all the neighbours need him desperately.
So you need the meddler. So sometimes if you have a meddler in your life, sometimes it's a meddler that really needs you as well.
Exactly. the meddler might really, really need you. And I think that day when he saw us, he was so happy. He saw the little babies and he saw them, and then I introduced the children, and the children afterwards, for the rest of their lives, they always know, oh, that's Johnny, he'll help us, Johnny. And any problem I would have, they would say, let's go to Johnny. So much so that once my husband was jealous because I said, oh, I'll go and ask Johnny if he's got me. Leave Johnny alone.
Don't bother with him.
Don't bother, don't bother Johnny. I go, I'm just saying, he's very, very, helpful.
Yeah, I do think it's good to meddle a little.
That's a conclusion of this podcast?
Well, if you consider meddling to be not minding your own business completely, it is good. Because if you're always just going down the road saying you see something that's not right happening, do you just stay quiet and just go on? Or do you just,
I think that's what we've been trained to do nowadays.
If you see a woman maybe having, you can go over and say, would you like to walk with me? Like what they did a campaign. If you see a woman walking on her own, you can go and walk beside her on a street. It's like if it's dark at night.
Oh yeah.
And you're another woman.
I know how frightening that can be as a woman.
So there's two of you, so you can where you might consider it, oh, that's a bit invasive, but then the other lady might think, oh, thank God, someone else is walking near me. So you're not trying to.
Yeah, as long as they're not,
But you
scary.
can usually tell, can't you?
Of course you can, like another group.
Because they say,
a nice group of people,
they kind of try and create this culture where you're more like we'll say girls go on a night out. You're not going to leave one alone, are you? You're going to be looking after everyone.
Yes.
So I think, the meddling there is if you consider it to be looking after people, and then you can. Like now recently.
You know what? I think you're right. There's enough of this mind your own business. Yeah. There's a bit too much
When
of it.
I was at the club, I just did a silly thing. They wanted, we were going to go to a dinner. And the lady that was at the bar, she was saying, but would you, serving, the lady that was serving, she said, would you want to go to this dinner? Because if you do want to, there might be other things on the menu that you can have, because I didn't like what was on the menu. And she said, can I have your phone number? Or is that indiscreet? Sorry, am I meddling? And I go, no, there's no problem. Thanks so much for your help. But she was even worried about meddling. People are so concerned now that it's like overstepping. I'm overstepping because I'm asking for something that might be considered personal. But
well, not if you go down the little villages here in Italy. They're not concerned about that at all. They're all asking.
They go a bit more.
Definitely more so. They're all asking about everyone.
They ask, but do they ask you? Not personally.
That's a problem, I think. They'll go, it'll be more like gossip. It'll be like saying, oh, do you know what's happened with so-and-so and so?
When we go to Zagarolo, the local village, afterwards they say, the English sisters were here.
Yeah.
And then
that's so
they
weird.
Don't actually stop us and say, hi, English sisters, or you sisters, why are you dressed the same? They don't do that.
No, that's a shame. It would be nicer if it was more direct, actually.
Well, we want more meddling.
Because that's not really meddling, is it? I think
it's showing an interest in who's
it's
there.
just like in the film The Meddler with Susan Sarandon. In the end, she actually, her daughter considers her to be the worst busybody ever, and she just can't stand her. But other people
really love her.
They love her because she actually helps them so much. She asks the guy that's this tech guy, she starts asking, why are you doing this? Why are you? And she goes with him and she helps him so much because she meddles. Because she, using the word, because she's interested, because she cares, because she can care. Yeah. She has enough time. And after she loses her husband, she needs to be a meddler as well. She overly needs other people's kind of issues to keep her own mind busy. But it's very important, I think, as well. So if you are feeling depressed and you are feeling, not clinically depressed, but I mean, a bit down and a bit low and maybe it is time to look around and say, let me do some meddling here in a nice way and take an interest in what's happening around you. with your
Yeah, 'cause
friends.
it could
with-
be with the neighbours as well.
With
Because
the
you could be, you know, you could have neighbours that really need your help, or
you never know. You
Yeah, or your
never
friends
know.
as well.
Yeah. You never really know. Like if you make an extra portion of something and you go and knock on, you know, your friendly neighbour's door, you really don't know the impact that can actually have. And
yeah,
I know
well, I was watching a documentary
it's so
with
strong, isn't it? That's really powerful.
with
People,
someone who was saying that when she was struggling because she was really young, she had a neighbour that was meddling,
And she would bring her
she would
food.
bring her food
Yeah.
every day and say, "Look, what's wrong with you? You're too skinny. Why aren't you?" And she said
she was
would
like an
find
old lady meddling.
She wasn't that old, but she was probably like all right.
Yeah, we're old.
She wasn't
exactly.
like 20 or something.
No,
She
no.
was older. She had a family, a
mature-
mature woman, and
Yeah.
she knew that she could see. But I mean, obviously, she was like, "You're too skinny." She was
Yeah,
very
she-
direct.
yes.
But in the end, this you know, this lady
helped.
said it helped me so much go through that terrible time.
There you go.
Because I wouldn't eat because I was upset and I didn't eat and I wasn't looking after myself properly.
And the neighbour could tell.
And the neighbour
Yeah.
could tell, and she helped me through it. And
There
I
you
didn't have
go.
enough money. She didn't have enough money to buy herself a food.
There you go. Sometimes you just really don't know the impact you
Yeah.
can have on other people's lives. And by keeping yourself closed into your little, you know, your life and your own problems, you're not allowing yourself to have a richer life.
Yeah,
So,
richer and more fulfilling.
yes. So we're not saying turn
No,
into
you know.
the worst kind of nosy
You
parkers,
read body
as they
language,
say.
like the one there, the club. She was meddling, but she said, "Am I being indiscreet?" We said, "No, of course not." So she could tell that there was part of her. There was a little bit of a meddler that was maybe overstepping.
She is a funny
tiny
one,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, she reminds me of one of our aunties, and but it's so cute and sweet.
It is
And
cute
so-
and sweet, and it can be very annoying at times. But I think that, you know, like everyone's got these, sometimes you can have these aunties that are meddlers, you know, in
Yeah.
each family.
But I think the more annoying you find it, the more you have to ask yourself, is it because I really need it?
Is it because I need it, or maybe they need it?
Yeah.
Is there a reason why auntie's always phoning me? Maybe she's feeling lonely. Maybe by allowing, you know, myself to accept and give her some truths about me, and say, you know, she can also feel better about herself. So it's like,
It's a two-way thing, isn't
it's
it?
definitely a two-way thing.
Like all
So much.
communication, I think.
Yeah,
Two-way.
two-way, absolutely.
So let us know if you have a meddler in your life, or perhaps you're the meddler. And let us know what you think on YouTube or on socials. Come and see us on Instagram and say hi. And what else we're going to go and do?
Some meddling. No, we're not.
That'd be good. Love and smiles from the English sisters. Bye for now.